Hi, today we're going to talk about this, the shoulder cameras, left and right. Let me show what it is that we are talking about. So, Ellen is spawned and we start walking, and then I press the right mouse button, and as you can see, the animation of Ellen will change, so she will be aiming at this point. And pressing the F button on the keyboard, I can switch from left to right, and then it remembers it. So if I was on the right, then next time I release and repress the right mouse button, she goes back there. She's on the left, goes back to the left. Okay, and we can even change of ways. Like I say I'm on the right, I press, but then I change my mind. It does it smoothly. Okay, and so I made some adjustments. The y-axis centering, the numbers that I use now is 06 and 02, and for the left and right shoulder cameras, that by the way are Cinemachine free look components, exactly like the follow camera, no different. The y-axis recentering is 0408 for both. All right. One more thing is that because now we don't only have one virtual camera, the follow camera, but we have three, also the aim camera left and aim camera right, we need to switch between them, right? It's like a triangle. We can just go between the two shoulder cameras with F, or with the right mouse button from the follow camera to one of the two, right? So who decides the speed of the transition? It is possible to decide it on a camera per camera basis. Like I can say from camera A to B, blend this way, from B to C, this other way, and specify different timing and so on. Or you can specify, like I did, one for both, for all of them, right? Is the default in a sense. So by default, this is a 2, and you can see that is quite slow for our purposes. Maybe it's okay for others, but see, if I start walking, I press the right mouse button, it takes quite a while to move, and then to switch when I press F from left to right takes quite a bit, right? And now that I release the button, it takes, again, a long time to do it. So we want 0.2, or, choose your own value, but this is it. So as far as the timing goes, these are the adjustments. And of course, now there are two new cameras, right? So the follow camera here, do you remember that we had a field of view of 50? These ones, we leave it at 40 because we want to see closer, right? So first of all, we zoom in, and also we want to see her closer. And so 40 it is. We also adjusted these numbers, right? So these are the numbers we use now for left and right shoulders. For this camera, I don't remember if I had already changed it before or not, or they were already like this. These are, okay? And, okay, another thing is, because of the change in the timing, 06, 08, 02, now when that problem, that the vertical recentering was being interrupted by the horizontal recentering, and then it would just jump into it without being smooth, is corrected. So for instance, let's say I'm both up and the other side, right? So it starts doing it. Okay, it's too quick. As you can see, it doesn't happen. Maybe because it's fast, right? Is more acceptable because it just does it fast anyway, so it's a little better. Of course, you can also choose to have the other one, but simple follow with world up is my favorite. And so how are these cameras made? Well, you simply make them, right? The usual way. You go to main, right click, Cinemachine free look camera, right? You make two of them, you give them this name. And the components we have is still this one, that is the main one with these values that we just shown. And then we have to also, for these cameras, add an input provider. And again, they are subjected to the look control, the mouse, right? No matter which of the three camera is, it's always the mouse that controls it. So if you remember, look is mouse, right? So, or the right stick on the gamepad, of course, but that's something else. And then what we have the Cine Machine collider also, so we need to wrap it in each of the two shoulder camera has to be wrapped in a collider so that it doesn't, walls and other obstacles cannot easily get in the middle between the camera and Allen, no matter which camera it is. And then we have this other that is also an extension like collider, so the offset is also an extension, and it's really what we want. As you can see, the left one adds no vertical or depth offsets, but adds half, let's call it half a meter on the X, meaning this, right? That's why she moves left and right. And here is minus 0.5, so it is plus 0.5 on the for the camera left, in camera left, and in camera right is plus. Then this one is aim for both and unchecked. Okay. So what else did we do? Well, Ellen needs to know about these two cameras now. So there you go, 1 and 2. So there are references in Avatar Controller. Here it tells you that the default one, when you start and you press the right mouse button without pressing F, it will go on the left side, right? So we press play, and without pressing F, they would switch the side, right? We press right mouse button, she goes on the left, right? That's it, that's all it means. If we did right, when I start, I press the right mouse button without having pressed F, of course, and she would go to the right first. And then, of course, I can always change it, like before, but left it is for now. And I have also, you probably have noticed, disabled the ground indicator because I think is enough now. We have figured out that it works, so good. It's still there, but it's not consuming any more CPU cycles or GPU and anything like that. So what else did change? Well, of course, the controls, right? We can press F or to flip the camera left or right, choose which shoulder camera it is, or it could be that, let me show you actually. So we have camera, recenter, aim, and swap. So to aim, right mouse button, already said it, or on the gamepad, left trigger, you press it, right? No, sorry, the left trigger, this one, my mistake. So you aim, and then the shooting will be with the right trigger, okay? And what I meant with the left stick press is that it recenters, right? If you use the gamepad, otherwise it's R, recenter. For swapping from left to right and back is on the keyboard F and or on the right stick R3, right? You press it because the right stick is the one that controls the camera anyway. If you want to to swap which one it is, you press it and it will go left and right. So these is a button with the usual 2 and another button with the usual 2. Don't forget to save when you create them. Then it recreates this file that allows us to enhance the input controller, because now we can add these two events, one for when we press the right mouse button to aim, or we press F or something else to swap from left to right, and of course we add these two, right? So here we will manage what happens, and in fact if you go to Game Manager, we have these two new, right? It's still Ellen that does things, and then when we have the camera aim event, it will execute Avatar Controller on camera aim, and when we swap left and right the shoulder cameras, it will execute Avatar Controller on aim swap. So what are these? Well, they are on Avatar Controller. As you can see, these are the two references to left and right shoulder cameras, and here, as you saw before, the default shoulder camera is left if you press the right mouse button. And then at the very, very bottom, we have on aim swap, and on camera aim. As you can see, it changes the priority, right? If aim is not pressed, the right mouse button is not pressed, these two shoulder cameras have priority 5, and because the default follow camera has priority 10, when these two become 5, right, both of them are 5, they are not chosen, so the machine chooses the one with the highest priority. So by default, that's why it is centered, right? It's neither left nor right, it's in the center. See, I don't touch anything, the game is starting, she's in the center, right? Now notice that if I press the right mouse button, the priority of the follow camera is still 10, but what happens is that the follow camera left, that is the default, when I press now the right mouse button, becomes 20. Then I release it, goes back to 5. The other one, of course, is still 5. But what if I press F, then the right one becomes 20. Then if I release, goes back to 5. I re-click again, right mouse button, goes back to 20. So basically, the way it works is that 10 is the middle value, and you can either be below it when you are not chosen, and the follow camera is the one that shows the graphics on the screen, or from 5 you go beyond, you become 20. So when we select either the left or the right shoulder camera, they become 20. The other one stays 5, and the follow camera stays 10, and the one chosen is 20. And then we can switch which one it is that has 20 with F. And pretty much that's how it works. You can see it here in the code. Basically say, if nothing is pressed, they go back to 5. If the left is pressed, of course, the left priority is 20, and this one is overridden with 5, otherwise vice versa, right? And here, when you swap, you're saying, well, if it is left right now, then it becomes right, otherwise it becomes left. And then you call on camera aim, and it executes this. So that, the right camera gets 20, and the other one gets 5. And pretty much that's it. Let's see the input controller. We said that there are these two events. We already saw which functions are being called. Now, because we recalculated the controls, right, we regenerated the code, so now we have this aim and with this aim swap. Let's check them again, just to refresh our memory. Aim and aim swap, right? And there you go. And they execute these two functions. So this one simply, it's a bool, right? And it keeps track in a global public variable that sometimes we check from avatar controller. It triggers whatever function we chose. In this case, which function is it? This one, right? On camera aim is executed. Right, on camera aim is executed. So when we press the right mouse button, in the end, this one is executed. Whereas if we swap, it calls this other function, and guess what? Is this one, right? On aim swap that we already saw. First, it switches the default camera in a sense, and then it executes again the aiming function, so that the weights on the priority are adjusted. This is the simplest way I figure out to make it work. I tried so many different variations, and some of them are complicated. So it's really a matter of thinking long enough and experimenting enough that when the code starts simplifying and everything sort of works, then you know you are on the right path. I chose several approaches that seemed good, but they weren't. And finally, I landed on this. I'm very happy because fundamentally, this number tells me the transition between these. I just modify the priorities. Now, in hindsight, it's probably the way it is supposed to be used. Like with priorities, you just modify the priorities, and that's the one that kicks in. That's certainly not the way I was using it at the start, but so this seems to work pretty well. Again, remember that you have to you already have the reference to the follow cameras for the Scene Machine Free Look and the Simple Follow Recenter, but you need also the ones for left and right now, so remember to do the drag and drop. And as a start, we said, we changed these numbers for the recentering. It seemed to work better. But other than that, and of course these numbers. Oh yeah, one thing. Of course, do you remember that we inverted these? We inverted the invert. So now the one above is checked and the one below is not. You have to do it also for these two, the shoulder camera, right? Because otherwise, when you right click, suddenly the controls seem to be the opposite of before. And obviously you don't want that. You want uniformity in that sense. And what we have to do now is to add the animation so that when we press the right mouse button, she does this and it starts, aiming, and then left mouse button, or we press already the left trigger button to aim, and then the right one, she will start shooting. So we're getting close to where we want to be. All right? Thank you.